Hi everyone. I'm currently in bed. This is a update from the bedroom because I'm feeling a little sicker post my last chemo treatment last Thursday. Basically, with the chemo treatment, I got a nice big dose of steroids. And so after my chemo treatment until I would say middle of the day Saturday, I felt pretty good and I was running around and doing stuff. And then Saturday evening, I started feeling yucky. Was sitting on the couch and started asking people to get me things instead of getting up and getting them myself. Um, And then that night had some of the burning and night sweats, which are some of the side effects that I had the first time I was treated with this chemo drug. Um, and the next night, those side effects were even worse. So I guess starting Saturday night, I've been up, I would guess, at least half of the night, feeling pretty sick. Not, I've felt sicker. So, just to be clear, when I was on this drug in the past and had taken numerous doses past the point of feeling this sick, I had gotten worse. So sick that like I was waking Mark up multiple times a night because I just couldn't go through it alone. Thankfully, I was not that sick. I was able to, manage to get my own medication and stuff. Where it, like I said in the past, it had gotten to the point where I couldn't even get my own medication to help myself feel better. Like from even when I had it like next to myself on my bedside table. So I thought I really don't want it to get that bad. And I was getting concerned because each night it's been getting worse. Last night was the first night I think it was a little better. I was still up about half of the night, but I didn't feel as sick. Um, so that's good. So anyway, this last chemo treatment is hitting me pretty hard. And I talked to Mark actually about it yesterday morning, because I was getting concerned that if I had another treatment, a third treatment, which is the plan for in another, I guess today is Tuesday, so another week and a half, I would go back for another treatment because he has me on the schedule for every 2 weeks. I said to Mark, I said, if I have another treatment, it's just going to be too much and I'm going to get that sick again. I can feel it. So I have to contact Dr. Fung and let him know I can't continue this. But so I was upset and worried though, because if I can't continue this, what does that mean for the cancer? What does that mean for my treatment options? But I knew I could not get to the point that I got to the last time I was overdosed with this drug. And already after 2 doses, I'm already feeling like I would guess maybe after 4 doses before. And I would bring up these side effects to my doctors in the past and I wasn't heard. Thankfully, at this, where I'm at now, I'm heard, which is why I've had the confidence to go ahead with treatment. So anyway, we had that talk and Mark was like, okay, go ahead and log on to send the doctor an email. So I log on to send the doctor an email and lo and behold, the test results have come back. Now, I don't know if you remember the whole long story, but my oncologist purposely ordered labs for me to have about 5 days after my first chemo dose so that we would know if it was safe for me to have the second chemo dose. When those labs resulted, not all the labs came through. And I was suspicious that that might happen because she only took 3 vials, and usually I'm like a 5 vial girl, anyway. That's just what happens when you have this kind of cancer. Um, so I was like suspicious, but she went and asked another nurse to verify the vials, and she verified it, so I thought it was okay. So lo and behold, not all the test results came in, including my cancer counts. But my NK cell count did come in, and even though it dropped substantially down to like 1/3 of what it was, Dr. Fung said that that was to be expected, and it was okay for me to have a second dose based on that NK count. But that he had wanted to get all the other results before my second dose. But unfortunately, since we didn't find out that they weren't resulting until it would have been too late to pull them again, he said, when you come in to get your chemo on Thursday, we'll pull those labs. So I get in last Thursday to go in and get my chemo, and I'm getting my labs drawn, and I notice again there's only 3 tubes. And so I say to the lady, I'm like, are they pulling the cancer counts and the this and the that and the other thing that Dr. Fung said he didn't get when I went to LabCorp last week because they used the wrong vials? And the nurse was like, no, I don't have that order. So it turns out that this happens a lot. The nurse was on the emails, but had not gotten to put in the order. I'm not going to say like anything negative about the nurse in this situation, because from what I've seen, they're like really running around and have a lot on their plates, and it's almost like too much is expected of them based on the amount of time that they have. But because of that, you have to advocate for yourself. So that's why, I had to realize, again, wrong number of vials. I had to bring it up to the nurse, and the nurse says, I'm going to pull additional vials. And because they know that usually if I say something, and if I in the past that it's been true. So she said, I'm just going to pull it and then I'll get the order. So she pulled it, and then I pulled additional vials, and then I went back to sit in my little cubby to wait for my treatment. They have to wait until certain blood results, like your CBC, just to make sure you have enough white cells for them to give you the treatment, and basic things like that. For me, they also wanted to check some other things that don't result as quickly, which is why he had me go the prior week. But unfortunately, some of those tests weren't run. The first nurse comes back, we talk, I check with her, are those tests being run? No, they're not in the system yet. So I just keep nagging until finally my oncologist specific nurse comes in and lets me know that they were run, that they did run those tests. And so that, I was just on it. So then I found out they ran the test. Unfortunately, they wouldn't result in time to prove to me that, whether I needed the dose or not. But that, chances are after one dose, I would definitely need another dose, It's just like before, when I was getting doses and I was in the hundreds, I was going down by like 100 each time. So like when I was at 350, a dose would take me down to 250, for example. So even though I was a hyper responder, by the time I got down to the low counts, I was going down a smaller amount. So so one thing I didn't mention is this whole morning, I was too nauseous to eat. I was, and I felt that was due to anxiety. I took a diazepam, which I have from my family doctor for when that happens, so that when I go to the hospital, if I'm feeling super anxious, I don't have to like deal with that. So I took that medication, but I was still feeling anxious enough that I couldn't eat. And I was concerned about this, and I thought it had to do with not having the test, which is why I was so on that. And I thought I really needed to make sure that I got the test done this time. Because, I don't know, I just like knew that. Anyway, so, and I was also concerned about having the second dose, but my logical mind overwrote what my gut was telling me. And my logical mind was like, there's no way you could overdose with the second dose. So you know what happened, right? Yeah. So when I logged in to get and saw those test results, my kappa light chains, which is my cancer count, went down from 350 to 18.4 on the first dose. So when he pulled those labs, they pulled them before I got the second dose. On the first dose, my cancer counts went down lower than they did after the transplant. So after my transplant, my cancer count from kappa light chains went down to 21. Now, that's not really a cancer cell. It's just that if you make too many of them, it's bad and it's like a cancer that grows. You want less than 20 of those. And so I got down to 21, and I was running in the 20s for about 6 months before I started spiking and went from 20 to 100 to 200 to 350 in the course of like 6 weeks, as you guys saw. So yeah, my count was all the way down to 18 before I got that second dose. So I didn't need the second dose at all. At least not at that time. I'm sure the doctor, I have emailed him. I have not heard back. So I did email him with that information. I was saying, oh, I'm feeling so sick. I don't think I can take a third dose. But guess what? My lab showed that I shouldn't even need a third dose. And didn't need a second dose. Now, that's why I've been feeling so rough. I figured the good news is that we know this now. There won't be a third dose. I won't get any worse. Hopefully, I'll just start getting better. And I can't imagine that the cancer counts are going to increase anytime soon, because they were down to 18.4, and that was after 2 weeks. So I was hit with that daratumumab 2 weeks. They waited, instead of 5 days, 2 weeks to get the blood results. So by that time, the counts can already start going up sometimes if you get, like I got overdosed. When I got overdosed, my counts kept going down for months after. So now I know my counts are probably down lower than that. So I emailed and I asked for repeat labs this week, just to make sure I'm okay, make sure my white blood cells are okay, make sure I don't need something they do have drugs you can get to stimulate white blood cells. Because one thing that can happen if you get too much of a cancer treatment, your white blood cells can get too low. So I'm hoping to hear from him today, and then go get that blood work this week just to make sure that I'm safe. But the good news is I guess hopefully this means I'm in a remission from daratumumab, and I'm hoping that the doctor seeing, and I'm feeling like the burning in my body from the drug. Sorry, but I'm hoping seeing my lab test, he'll order those additional labs and also agree that I probably won't need treatment for a while. He'll probably just start monitoring me again like he was. So after the transplant, just about every month I'd go in and we'd check. and my counts were staying steady. And I'm hoping that that's what we're going to do now. I'll be done treatment for a while. We'll start checking. Hopefully, I'll continue to recover from the little bit of overdose I got. Yeah, it's basically a lot of fatigue and burning in the body are my main symptoms. And that burning in the body and like between my shoulder blades keeps me from sleeping. It's a pain I have medication for, and it can definitely take the edge off, thank God. But when it gets bad, that's what it does. It takes the edge off. But it makes it possible that I can listen to an audiobook, and try to distract myself with that. So I'm definitely grateful for everything I have to manage my symptoms. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys that big medical update. It's like a huge update. Who would have thought? One dose of the chemo drug, woof, and then I got a second dose. And I mean, I think that that shows you again, like I wasn't as in touch with my intuition as I needed to be, I think, in that situation. I actually got a workbook that a friend recommended. And it's sort of about like reading tarot, but basically it's a workbook to get in touch with your intuition. And I've already started that workbook and I'm going to be going through that. And I think that that is a really valuable part of our intellect that has been trained out of us, starting at an early age. So I'm trying to learn it back, and I'm going to try to share what I do with my kids as well. I feel bad because I know I was part of probably training some of the intuition out of them, just like, we all do. Until you know better, then you do better, right? So that's the other thing. Be kind to yourself. When you know better, you do better. And love yourself, even when you make mistakes. And pray that others love you, even when you make mistakes. And when you find those people, keep them close. I happen to be blessed with a few wonderful people in my life that love me even when I'm grouchy. Anyway, I love you all so much, and I'm so blessed